Hey, my name is Jobby, and I know we're all excited for me to talk about the same damn mode a third time. I certainly am. But before that, there is something very important that I need to tell you. I'm getting... Jobby Youtooz, baby! That's right, an official Youtooz JobbytheHong crossover. Get your JobbytheHong plushies right now through the link in the description. And kiss your own figures today. And once they're gone for good. So get them while they're hot at Youtooz.com. I'll shill this to you again later. But for now... we got a triple review today. We're talking about the Hiya Toys Skulldevil from Kong Skull Island, the Hiya Toys Godzilla vs. Kong Godzilla Heat Ray version, and the Hiya Toys Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong. And the order in which I'm taking a look at these guys was determined by my members on this channel, my second channel, and my Patreon. So the first figure we're talking about is the Skulldevil. You mean you guys aren't sluts for Godzilla? That's okay. The Skulldevil is a MonsterVerse original kaiju, Titan, from the movie Kong Skull Island. And a little bit of a hot take here. Kong Skull Island might be my favorite MonsterVerse movie. I also haven't seen the new Empire yet, but don't tell anybody. With that being said, I don't quite remember the context of the Skulldevils. I remember the Skull Crawlers, but was this just the bigger dick version of the Skull Crawlers? Whatever the context, the painting and sculpting on this figure is awesome. It's just an enjoyably unique design. Looks like a lizard that forgot to evolve halfway. The paint itself is of high quality, featuring some shading and subtle highlights, and the texture work here is really good, especially at the head. I love that bone texture there. Little beady eyes are clean as well. Wish that same amount of love was applied to King Ghidorah. And while we're at the head, check this out. Very reminiscent of the Hammond Collection T-Rex, if you guys remember that. Hammond Collection Spinosaurus Wen. Love that borderline auto-transforming feature. I've always got that franchise on my mind. And I love the softish parts in the mouth there. Give you a little... very nicely detailed, but the paint is a little bit basic. Would have loved to see a little more gloss to simulate saliva. And the sculpting on the teeth is a little... just blends in one white mass there. Otherwise, not too bad. But what is too bad is the complete lack of accessories, which I actually don't know what this guy would come with. What does this thing do in the movie again? It's only too bad considering the price. I know, cheaper than SH Monster Arts, and Bandai's not even touching this creature with a 10-foot pole, but I want a little more bang for my buck. But at the very least, this guy feels really solid and is fairly fun to pose. Opening mouth, as previously mentioned. Tongue is not posable, but is flexible. Ball joint at the neck. Every ball joint can be. Ball joint at the base of the neck. Once more. And both of those ball joints allow it to look up that far, look down that far, and some good side to side 360 rotation at the arm. Hinge joint at the arm that allows it to move out. Bicep swivel. Double bend at the elbow. Swivel at the wrist. Hinge joint at the wrist. And you get another swivel there. So instead of getting this movement, you could swivel it and get a one of these. Ball joint at the chest. Every ball joint. Get an arcing back and a crunch. Ball joint at the tail. Everybody. And a final ball joint here. Get some nice curvy poses. But if you notice, there are no joints at the tail, and that's because we got another bendy wire situation. Hiya Toys freaking killing it with the wires at this point. This is nice. This doesn't feel like it's gonna snap off at any point. And because of that, the articulation at the tail is fairly unlimited. You could even straighten it out and despite not even having legs, posability here is excellent. And you could even put him on a stand, not included, for even more display options. Getting him up in the air might compensate for his lack of size. Comparison. Here's Figma Matic Academy, Hiya Toys Godzilla, the Magic Square Light of Peace, not Optimus Prime. My previous review, the Kang Toys Land Bowl, and the SH Monster Arts Godzilla vs. Kong. Why not? Even though this guy's not one of the popular kaiju, Hiya Toys still went pretty hard on it. This thing is unexpectedly great. Well, members, I hope you enjoyed that brief review. Now time to get to the second most voted option. What the hell am I gonna say with the third time and looking at this mold? Fourth time's a charm, right? Perhaps it is, because the painting and the sculpting on this thing is amazing. The gradient from the white core to the blue tips makes this convincingly glowy. Someone watched my Blitz Gundam Eye tutorial. Oh wait, it doesn't exist. And speaking of the eyes, my word, that looks so cool. It's borderline witchcraft that they achieved the light up effect without having actual electronics. But an actual light up Godzilla would be freaking sweet. Get on that, Hiya. There's even subtle blue details on the body to replicate that nuclear energy building up inside his chest. I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from my birthday party. Didn't know I could drink so much vodka. Das vidanya to my kidney. And for a more direct comparison, we have the SH Monster Arts Godzilla vs. Kong Godzilla, whose glowy effect is a little on the nose. There's no subtlety here, and the inside of its mouth just looks like it ate Smurf butt. No such problems with the Hiya Toys, tastefully done. Although what both of these figures lack is a use of clear parts. I think that would have improved the look of both of them. And I would move directly onto the posability, but you actually get accessories here. A beautifully sculpted atomic breath part or heat ray. Atomic breath is so much better. Agree with me in the comments or get banned. However, I'm not a fan of how the tip of the breath is at a weird angle. So when you stick it inside his mouth, he's curving the breath. Skills, dude. Also, it doesn't stay put at all. And you don't get a stand to hold up the breath part. So prepare your own. Looks fantastic when you get it set up though. However, you do get the option of an alternate head part and an alternate neck part. And all you gotta do is unplug the head there, get some of that skin off, plug the head, and that's how the internals look like. That seems a little dangerous. Attach the neck fat first, and then we plug in that alternate head, and the atomic breath part actually does slot into this alternate head. I guess this is supposed to replicate his pose in King of the Monsters, but dude, wrong movie. Not a bad display at all, but it basically makes the already excellent default head into a non-posable statue. What the frick's the point? And I don't know if it's just me, but this alternate head has a way more muddy look to it than the default head. Might as well stick with this. And not to mention he's got a ball joint here and a ball joint at the base of the neck. Every ball joint can be. And do I really have to do this again? I suppose we can get that obligatory calf swivel. Missed out on that in my last Godzilla review. Sorry about that. Don't unsubscribe. And size comparison that you've basically already seen. And the Skulldevil. This figure is great and it might be my favorite variant of this mold. Excellent painting, has an atomic breath part, and at a pretty good price. This is what I call value. Do you want another one of these reviews? I've got at least one more on my shelf, and two more coming out, actually. At this rate, Hiya Toys Godzilla is gonna get its own playlist. And now let's take a look at the figure that my members, for some reason, fucking hate. Why did Kong get such low ratings? The Hiya Toys Kong is, of course, from Godzilla vs. Kong, and was one of my least anticipated Hiya Toys figures. Alright, members, I get it. Unlike the other figures like Godzilla and King Ghidorah, the promotional images for this guy weren't the best in my opinion. I also didn't have much of a problem with the SH Monster Arts Kong, which we will be getting back to later. And the Hiya Toys look extremely similar. Similar. And I gotta say, the painting and sculpting here is awesome. It's just not blowing me away. It's not awful by any means, but I think that dry brushing is laid on a bit too thick. I actually prefer the more basic colors of the SH Monster Arts version. However, what the Hiya Toys has over the SH Monster Arts is definitely the head sculpt. There's so much life there, and I think this head sculpt captures his character perfectly. Those eyes are really well done, as opposed to the SH Monster Arts version where he has no soul. Just like Bandai. Also, SH Monster Arts, fuck off with the Bandai bullshit. This guy, super solid, maybe even a little too solid out of the box. Highly recommend you give this monkey a bit of a roast, especially when it comes to changing out his head. Fuck. There you go. In addition to that beautifully sculpted neutral face, you get an angry face and a full-on yelling face. So cool. The mouth detail here is fantastic. Looks like he ate a bit of shit in it. And of all the Hiya Toys figures I've covered so far, this has got to be the one with the most accessories. You can switch out these default open hands for a pair of fists, knuckle scrapers, is that offensive? And a pair of grabby hands, which allows him to hold his iconic Godzilla spine axe. There's probably an official name for this, but I don't care. Godzilla spine axe. Sculpting on this thing is fantastic, but the painting doesn't look quite glowy enough. And we just saw how glowy paint can be. And unfortunately, where this figure falls apart, not literally, is in the posability. It ain't bad, you do get a ball joint at the head. Every ball joint can look up that far and look down that far. Rotation at the shoulder. Hinge joint allows the arm to move out. Bicep swivel. Double bend at the elbow, which I highly recommend you heat up. It was borderline impossible to bend this out of the box. Ball joint at the hand. Every ball joint at the waist. Gives you an arcing back. Emphasizes his lovingly sculpted Bit of a crunch. Ball joint at the leg. Allows for rotation. Can do a full 360. Thigh swivel. And a perfectly fine spread. Double bend, bitch. There you go. Definitely works, but kind of looks weird. Ball joint at the ankle. Every ball joint barely moves up and down. And then, unfortunately, barely there pivot. Again, the posability ain't that bad, but it's definitely the weakest aspect of this figure, especially when you compare it to something like Bandai. Is it a fair comparison? I don't know. Go ask your mama. But this guy beats this guy's ass when it comes to solidity. So less articulated, but more solid. Which do you prefer? Comment, please. And I definitely prefer the size of the Hiya Toys figure, which leads us into our final size comparison. Madoka Godzilla Prime, Skulldevil, and the Hiya Toys Godzilla Heat Ray version. Damn if this reminds me of the best part of Godzilla vs. Kong. Anytime these guys were on screen, it was movie magic. I sound like a MonsterVerse hater, but I'm here for the same reason you guys are. And this is a great figure to pick up if you're also a fan. Nothing mind-blowing, but did it really have to be? Yes, but I'm not mad. You know what is mind-blowing, though? I'm telling you guys, this thing is amazing. Get your JobbytheHong plush today. You will be hearing me say this for the rest of the freaking year or until the campaign ends. Here it is. Beautiful material here. The design is perfect. Designed in-house by Youtooz based on my design, obviously. It's a legally distinct entity that I drew. Don't fucking tattletale. And it's so soft and clean that you could just... Now, if that doesn't make you want to buy this thing, I don't know what will. Thanks so much for watching, and a special thanks to all my members and patrons. All you deluxe class members and double kiss patrons should be scrolling on the screen soon. As for my highest paying members and patrons, here's all your shoutouts, starting with my leader class members: Spire Talon, Jonathan Coco, Arch Cyber Knight Mikey, Anything Gamer 3000, Nathalia, Mayday, Papa Maku, Incinerator, God of All Daleks, Cam After Dark, Scarlet Scout 259, Super Duper Boy, Breakaway TA, Sleepy Hot Coco, Guerrero Power, Joseph Leroy, Crazy Dia 64, Archaon 5, Kana Candy, Saber Redfin, Dim Sum Garbage, Melania Blade of McKella, Boxhead, SSJ Broly 2001, Dan, Cagnaros, Anime Gods of Gaming, Astrobeast 057, Squadzilla, Toy Scourge TV, John Birchfield, Luxana, Jonas RT, Kamen Rider KFP, and Zelda Gamer LD401. As for my triple kiss patrons: Cole, Brandon Moreau, Mama Munix, Brian Dina, Kong Meng, Jonathan Coco, Zach Carney, Delta Vortex, Base Crink 69, CC6738, Mr. Jaxo, Kieran Herlihy, Fate, Boney's Network, Austin Sabatino, Squadzilla, Tropic Panda, Flowing Games 101, Tiger Boy, Z Naki Art Z, Smithy Killer, Tarn the Robot Layer, Morris Voices, Gordangus, Cam After Dark, Dim Sum Garbage, Genius Jedi, Not Modding 21, Cagnaros, The Blue Pixeling Entertainment, Proxy Fox, Luxana, Need More Time 11, Scarlet Scout, Artist 101, Gabe Nuxol, Harry McStrange, Josh Montemayor, Nathalia Munoz, Daniel Morris, Mighty Sneck, Ken Rodman, Rain Kun, Jawan, Striker 374, Ming Yi Caesar, Mr. Jenkins, Weed Horse Theo, and Michael McLaughlin. Thank you guys so much for your continued support and your patience. You're definitely helping me keep the lights on and helping me move. So who's to say if you're gonna see me next week on the Failbox and next month with more toy reviews, I'll try to make the move as undisruptive as possible. But until then, buy a goddamn plushie!